The first-person shooter was born on the PC and hasn't stopped strafing since, producing some of the finest games on our fair platform. Hold down Shift and join us on a run-through of the very best FPS games on PC. Okay, fair warning, there are players here who have been prowling the same maps for over a decade, and they cannot wait to kill you. And once they do, which, honestly, they definitely will, you'll have to sit out the rest of the round twiddling the thumbs that failed you so badly. CSGO's Naughty Step makes you stop and think about what you did, and that's its magic. Like any good parent, it teaches you that only patience, skill, and muscle memory will allow you to stick a serrated knife into a sniper's gut where it belongs. Don't know where we'd be if our mums hadn't taught us the same. A bearded mute called Gordon fights transdimensional aliens and soldiers while at work, and the rest is history. Well, it's physics actually. The scientists at Black Mesa are the real heroes of Half-Life. Destined to die embarrassingly in explosions, SWAT team assaults, or the jaws of the angriest ceiling fans you'll ever encounter. There's an elegant simplicity to Half-Life that still stands up. Valve don't take cutscene breaks, rarely rely on exposition, and for the most part leave players, like Gordon himself, utterly in the dark. Although, if you really can't see anything, you might want to fiddle with your gamma settings. Half-Life 2 is often called the best game of all time. It's also an FPS. Add them together and you get the best FPS of all time. That's just maths, and there's no use arguing with maths. If you were a supersuit scientist, you'd understand. A more confident Valve did everything bigger the second time around. The environments, the enemies, and the story. This is a smart blockbuster, like The Big Short, Interstellar, or... well, like The Big Short or Interstellar. Age may have worn away some of the sheen, but that Citadel towers just as ominously over City 17, and the headcrabs in Ravenholm can still loosen your bowels with a single screech. Rainbow Six Siege is like one of those frat party comedies in which a gaggle of youths tear apart a suburban home, punching plasterboard and knocking down doors in pursuit of a good time. Only it doesn't end with a race to fix up the place before mum and dad come home, because by that stage of the match nearly everyone is dead. Siege is a psychological battle as much as it is a series of gunfights, a game about manipulation, control, and keeping your head, which is tough when you can never feel safe. Remember kids, a wall is just a window waiting to happen. You can't throw a Molotov cocktail on Steam without hitting a zombie these days, but Left 4 Dead shamblers aren't like the others. This lot crash over you in waves, crawl up the walls, and leap across gaps. And they're accompanied by a highly evolved form of undead that force you and your teammates to work together unless you want to be drowned in green glue, in which case you're probably a children's TV presenter. Though Left 4 Dead 2 has been around a good long time, its tension, level design and countless mods ensure that it remains a compelling romp through the swamps. Far Cry 2 might have set the open world template, but Ubisoft's exotic adventures in narcotics were perfected right here. Ubisoft polished those sandbox elements till they shined, and we were left with a dragon's horde of weapons and a vibrant playground to conquer. One moment you're diving off a boat to hunt sharks, the next infiltrating an enemy outpost with nothing but a bow and a really big wallet you made having knifed a shark to death. Then it's off a cliff you go for a bit of one-on-one time with a wingsuit. This is the definitive violent gap year simulator. For a considerable length of time, corridor shooters were simply known as Doom clones, which would make John Romero's Daikatana one of those grim failed Ripleys from Alien Resurrection. Behind the history though, is simply a great game that deserves celebrating, regardless of all the things it pioneered. Doom has all the ingredients we still want from our shooters: wildly diverse enemies plucked from the bowels of hell, devilish labyrinths bursting with secrets and monsters, and big, satisfying guns that make you sprout testicles all over your body. It's a heap of fun to play, even today. Recent Call of Duties are notorious for letting NPCs lead you by the hand, and Battlefield's commanding officers seem to all have backgrounds in babysitting too. But in COD 2, it still felt like you were leading the charge and taking ground yourself. Your allies were there to bring the show to life, staging their own little battlefield dramas. On the dust you drive into Eldaba, and in the frozen desolation of Stalingrad. Yep, it's definitely worth charging back into COD 2, not least because the Nazis are pouring from endless respawn points, and if we don't sort them out now, they'll never stop. Have you ever fired a bio rifle? They shoot weaponized toxic sludge. Lovely stuff you can charge up and release as a great big bulb of bath, like a gelatinous landmine. Or maybe you'd prefer the delightful Ripper, which ejects saw blades that bounce around corners. This is Unreal Tournament, the place where epic mega games first earned their name. Tournaments maps are filled with mad architecture. There's nothing quite like leaping in low gravity between 3 stratospheric towers, particularly if you can gibe someone in mid-air, spraying their gore through the sky like a sticky firework. You'll spend 8 hours just getting to know Overwatch's cartoon cast, but it will happily gobble as much time as you're willing to throw at it, devouring whole weekends or just the odd quick blast on your favourite character between dinner and bed. You need to like pushing carts and defending choke points though. Overwatch isn't about grabbing kills so much as objectives. Disrupt the enemy team, take their stuff and move on to the next map. Bish bash blizzard. It's hard to say the word purity without sounding worryingly like a white supremacist or a Victorian lady, but that's what Quake III Arena is. Racist. Pure. Quake III Arena is pure. It's not fancy, and even at launch it was a predictable step, taking what was great about Quake and squeezing it into the multiplayer arena. But it's also slick and fast and polished and thrilling and addictive, and will probably outlive us all, pitting trick-jumping bots against each other as the world burns and the seas rise to claim its servers. So, what do you think? Are there any great shooters we've straight past? Tell us we're wrong in the comments, or click that dislike button like you would a cacodemon.